to part 1 of Gathering 4. Wonderful to see you here again, and hope you enjoyed the activity for last week. It's so special making a wonderful board to represent our love for our beloved that we're creating with right now. And for Gathering 4, we listened to an awesome song, Talking Heads. I love that song so much. I heard it on the radio for the first time in a really long time the other day and got out of my car and was dancing. And it's just an amazing song. And I love the water flowing under that they say within that song, because it's so true. No matter what happens, where you are, what stage in your life, there's always that stillness. There's always that water flowing under that's kind of holding all of it, and that always is remaining. So it's a pretty profound song, even though it's so funny, and the music video is hilarious too. But so the title of this Gathering 4, is It Is What You Make It. And this title I love so much. It was inspired by this woman I met from Bali. She came to Hawaii to give birth, and I met her with a bunch of other pregnant women, and this was years ago. And she was just really special. She had this certain energy about her. She was so positive and just looked so beautiful and bright. And she was like 7 months pregnant. And, you know, a lot of women walk around and they're kind of having a hard time then. And a lot of women aren't also having a hard time. And this woman was one of them. And she was just so beautiful. And I saw her shortly after she gave birth, and I asked her how it was, and this was before I had given birth to my first son, so I was so curious and like, how did it go? What was it like? And the first thing she said to me was, she's like, you know, it's just what you make it. And when she said that, I was like, what do you mean it is what I make it? I don't have control, do I? I just felt like I was kind of a victim to the birthing experience. Like I had no control or say about how it turned out. I was just totally like, you know, and there's a certain degree of truth and honesty to that, but there also is profound truth, and it is what we make it. And so this is a pretty neat session. The poem says, "Fear has lost its power. I am rooted in myself. Aligned and fully empowered, I fulfill my beautiful vows." So it correlates with chapters 11 through 14. And a lot of this is about aligning with our intentions, with our vows, and knowing what our values are, and also being able to recognize when we are out of alignment with our values, and really being able to handle that in a mature and hopefully fulfilling way where we learn and do not need to experience it again. But we'll start with reading a little bit from chapter 11, page 56. And I was in the ocean, and it says, "The sweet motion of the water gently rocks my growing body, and my mind settles down. Every fear, thought, emotion, and sensation disappears as my body relaxes into salty nothingness. I feel all-pervading peace and contentment. I am no longer a woman. I am no longer pregnant. I am beyond form. I am the immensity of the sea. Ripples rise and spread throughout me. I go deeper and deeper into the soundless and immeasurable ecstasy. Then my mind tries to pull me out of relaxation with its tantalizing stories of what could be going wrong. Oh no, I just felt a cramp. Maybe something's wrong with the baby. I shouldn't be floating like this. Besides, I can't be this relaxed. A shark might be lurking." I listen to the escalating thoughts. I feel tension course throughout my body, and my mind continues to panic. A clenching in my gut and a tightness in my limbs adds to the prevailing terror. I feel stuck in this extremely overwhelming uncertainty. Luckily, I have a moment of realization that exposes the origin of all of this. Much to my surprise, it is me. And so I decide to stop feeling helpless in the face of my own thoughts. I choose to attend to something besides my ongoing internal conversations. I refuse to create more of a story. A huge weight lifts. The false narrative is over, and I can breathe fully again. How many of us know this, especially when you're floating in the ocean and you just totally relax for a minute, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're totally aligned, and the fear comes back and takes over, and, oh, I need to get out, or this or that, or it could really happen with anything in your life. You could just take a bath and become totally aligned and relaxed and get out, and your husband says something to you and, oh my gosh, something goes off that just frightens us. We just have all of these thoughts that, we're really not a victim to. We can see them and recognize them for what they are, but it also can be kind of more of a game. Like, we can end up getting to a point where we laugh at these thoughts because they're so funny. We're just so not in a situation that's dangerous, or we're not in danger, and yet our psychology is pretending that we are. And we really can move beyond this and put fear in a place where we can catch it instead of it catching us and taking over and really determining the course of our day and of our life. And so we're going to start something new today. Rather than being afraid of our fear, we're going to welcome it. And when it comes, we'll want to better understand it and get a better sense of what it is, so that we know when fear arises, it's just fear. And we can even say that it's just fear. And just even in saying that, there's a relief that comes. But so we'll go over activity 1 briefly. You'll find a comfortable place, set the timer for 10 minutes once again. Feel your contact to the ground, to the chair you're sitting on. Allow the thoughts to be there without grabbing onto them. Allow your mind to just do its thing. Let the thoughts come and go, and pay particular attention to if you have a fearful thought. You'll notice, you'll have a thought, and your body will respond to the fear in a fear mode. It will feel stressed, and you need to kind of be sensitive to be able to feel this. But if you're tuning in, it's very, very simple and easy to recognize. And so when the fearful thought comes, just dismiss it. Just say, okay, this is fear. Notice it, dismiss it, and allow yourself to continue waiting for the next thought. And maybe it will be fearful and maybe it won't. But what we're really trying to do here is not be a victim to our fearful thoughts anymore, and really kind of see it as just a pattern of psychology that we can move beyond and not be so affected by anymore, so that we can use our mind in a more beneficial way and fill our minds with things that actually serve, rather than psychological, things that aren't really even happening. So we're going to read a little bit from chapter 14, page 67. I was talking about an experience that I had at the beginning of this chapter, where I ran into a friend who was really angry and having a hard time, and she kind of blew up at me. And I had just come back from the ocean, and I was feeling amazing and so aligned, and then this happened, and I got so emotional and triggered, and I talk a little bit about that. And I say, when I said something to my friend, she blew up in anger. It immediately triggered within me the voice of a victim. My heart broke in half. I came up with stories about how wrong it was for her to treat me this way. I deserve respect. I don't want to spend time with her anymore. This mentality has been one of the most challenging for me to see through. The truth is, right now, I'm only a victim of myself. I have the choice to be free of any additional resentment about this event. So this is really powerful. If we can notice the minute that we get triggered, or the minute that we get super emotional because of something that comes up that's difficult for us, especially if it has to do with someone else getting mad at us, this is the most powerful thing to do, is to just stop and just make sure that we don't go into a story about it, and just allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling, like we went over in gathering 2. Feel without adding a story, without layering. Just accept what we're feeling. And if we can do that really genuinely, the sensation and the feeling should move through relatively quickly. The only reason that it will linger is if we have a story that we keep perpetuating, and then we keep essentially re-traumatizing ourselves and feeling the resentment, which really ultimately is only hurting ourselves and our babies if we're pregnant. So the more comfortable we get with our alignment, the easier it is to recognize when we start to get misaligned, and the easier it is to make sure that we don't go any further than that, and that we allow ourselves to just settle, take time, take space, don't create a story, feel what we're feeling, and then move forward with our day. And if we can do this, there are amazing changes that begin to happen, and we don't really necessarily begin to attract those situations or continue to attract them like we have in the past. So this activity too, we have a choice. Let's think of a situation lately where you got triggered, where something happened, just the event, not the story that goes along with it. Someone may have said or done something that upset you, or something happened that was abrupt for you. Remember the moment you began to feel the offness, the not okayness, the anger, or the sensation that arose in response to that event. Now, very carefully, do not allow the story to enter. Anytime the story of how unfair, this was not okay, so mean, that person was so mean, etc., tries to enter, just say no thank you and come back to the mere event and the moment that you became unaligned. So once you have that moment where there was just a little bit of unalignment that happened, without going into the story, place your hands on your heart and repeat the following statement until it really sinks in and feels true for you. I remain in alignment, clarity, and love, no matter what is happening within or around me. I remain in alignment, clarity, and love, no matter what is happening within me and around me. And just really, really sink into this until it feels true for you. And the next time that you have something arise where you feel like you're beginning to leave alignment and enter into misalignment, unalignment, then just remember this. Remember that it's in your hands and it's really up to you. And you can stay clear and you can stay in love no matter what is happening within or around you. So we're going to take a little break and then we'll come back to show my creation for the art activity, and we'll talk a little bit about what you get to create. So thanks for being here.